Welcome back to the Put Yourself First podcast. Today I'm doing something fun that I asked you ladies on Instagram last week if you'd be interested in, and I've never had so many. You know, if you use Instagram stories, you can put those little stickers and someone can tap the sticker with the little emoji. I don't think I've ever had as many people tap the little sticker, and I was like, tap it if you want these life update episodes on the podcast. So here we are. Here's the first one, and it's perfect timing with it being the end of June. We are halfway through 2023, which is madness. And so I'm going to start doing these, I'm hoping once a month, maybe once a quarter, we'll just see. And if you like them, if you want them more, please do share that with me, DM me, share the podcast on your story and tag me, let me know that you enjoy them, because I really appreciate that feedback. So with that said, I've written down some things that I wanted to update you on that have been going on personally. The first thing is, let's address the elephant in the room. It's halfway through 2023, what the actual fuck? And this is always very apparent for me because of the work that I do. For example, inside of the sisterhood, my membership community, the doors are closing literally tonight. If you're listening to this the day the podcast goes up, we do monthly manifest your goals calls, and as part of that means that I'm very much aware of what's going on. I'm very aware of the calendar year and what months we're moving through. I'm very grounded in monthly goal setting, and so when June rolls around, I'm always part flabbergasted and part excited. And I've just wanted to share what I said on the Sisterhood podcast, because if you are in the Sisterhood, you'll know you receive a members only podcast and you can access it in your members area. I was talking about it being halfway through the year and just sharing some encouragement. And one thing that's been on my mind a lot lately is life is so precious and time is gonna pass anyway. So if life is precious, which we'll get onto, the time is gonna pass anyway. You may as well be doing what you want to do. You may as well be going after the goals that matter to you. You literally may as well. Because what's the point of doing all of this work if we're not claiming the life that we desire? Because the time is going to pass anyway. So let that be a call to action to recommit to your goals for this year, to what you want, even if it's not just for this year and it's your vision board for your whole life. Let this be a permission slip to look at that again and really think about where you could be in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. Because no matter how you feel about the year so far, things will change and are always changing anyway. So you may the time is going to pass anyway between now and the end of this year. So you may as well take action to be the main character of your own friggin' life. You may as well. And that brings me on to a big part of my life behind the scenes at the moment, which is dealing with grief for the first time in my life. It's not that I've never lost anyone before, but this grief that I've experienced over the past few months feels the most stinging, like potent, painful grief. And it's the first time I've felt a piece of what people talk about when I hear other people share their experience of it, where it's so up and down and it's so complicated. So for some context, one of my beautiful best friends lost her younger sister at the beginning of May. My granddad, my paternal granddad, is very unwell. A couple of people I know have lost or are losing, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Grief is just very, very like apparent in my life right now, and I've got to be honest, it's taught me so much, and it's been a journey over the past few months of really riding the waves of it. I've supported clients with grief before, but going through it myself has given me a new level of embodiment, of really accepting the emotional roller coaster that is losing someone, and the duality of it as well. Like I was saying to my amazing therapist and EFT practitioner the other day, it's tragic and it's painful, and it's also really beautiful, because seeing how people come together during grief, seeing how it like overnight shifts your perspective to the point where, like I was just saying with that message about it being halfway through the year, I'm like, life is so precious. I cannot sit by and see ambitious, incredible women not going after their goals. Like I will not tolerate that anymore. And I will be calling women forward more and more to go after their dreams and build a life that they're proud of, that they're excited by, that fills them up. Because life is too precious not to do that. Life is too precious to be living it for what other people want, or worrying about what other people think, or worrying about failure, or all of these things that in our human, like mundane moments of life, when we're moving through the day-to-day, we tell ourselves these stories in our head. And there's just been something about grief that has flipped all of that on its head and really just cleared so much of that for myself, and really reconnected me to the vision and the purpose behind what I do. To the point where when Chloe passed away, whilst wanting to really being there for my friend, and obviously leading up to the funeral, being at the funeral, it was so heartbreaking. And somehow during that period I was able to show up for my clients, not just like at the same level that I normally would, which is pretty high. Like I have pretty high standards for how I coach, but it was like a new level. It was like even more. And I think it was that energy that I had behind me of just pure love, pure love, amongst the pain, amongst the sadness, amongst the anger, amongst the confusion. Even like secondhand grief is so complicated, and I don't think we talk about that enough either, where you feel helpless, you don't know what to say, or you question like if you're doing enough for that person, if it's someone you love and you don't know what they're going through, because that is like one of their people, like one of their closest people. And at the same time, you're grieving for them. You know, you're just so like heartbroken at even contemplating how they must be feeling. And it's been a rough couple months, like, I will say that. And with everything, you know, those other like reminders of grief and grief being apparent, I had to have a session with my EFT healer, amazing lady, therapist. Like, she is magical. And we did a session on inner child work with grief, because I was finding myself feeling very anxious about grief, because it was so apparent to me that people around me were dying or had recently died. And like, Adam was late home from his CrossFit class, and I was so triggered, fully like worrying that something bad had happened. And I realised my nervous system was just feeling very activated by that. And I needed to really go in and nurture my inner child and release a lot of the fear of loss that she was having, where she felt like, you know, she was going to be on her own because people were dying. And I'm always glad, but especially recently, I'm so glad at like the toolkit that I have to handle those types of things when they come up. Because even a couple of years ago, if something like that was coming up for me, it would be months and months of dealing with it before I could really address it and clear it. Whereas now, it's how I describe healing. It's like, you never stop healing, you never stop growing, you just get better at it. In the same way that, like, if you ask someone who runs, running doesn't necessarily get easy, you just get stronger, like, you just get more resilient at running. And I find it's the same with healing. It's not that you're this perfect human who never is triggered and never is scared, but when you have this toolkit, something comes up, you acknowledge it, you process it, you feel it, and you heal it, and it's gone. And I've reached this place, even in a matter of a few days, of feeling really at peace with loss and like the inevitability of it, and that duality of it being really sad but also really beautiful at the same time. So pretty heavy start to this life update. There are more fun updates coming after this, but that's life, isn't it? That is life. You know, you roll with the punches. I hate that phrase because it makes it sound like everything is shit, but you take the good and you take the bad, and it's all part of being human. So that's probably the main personal update behind the scenes. The next update is more around the summer and it being July. And I did this last year and it served me so well, and so I'm doing it again this year, where I deliberately didn't plan to be promoting or running anything new over the summer. And if you run your own business, you'll get this, where not only does it just feel a little weird almost to be promoting stuff over the summer, where you're like, people are on holiday, like they don't, they're not in that headspace. But for me, it also feels like I want my summer holiday. Like, I want to feel like I did when I was a kid, where I'm excited for July because it means that there's a couple of weeks left of school, and then school's out for summer and we're off for like 6 weeks. And I am not taking 6 weeks off my business, and I wouldn't, and I wouldn't want to either. But I am taking my foot off the gas in terms of launches or promotions or that kind of thing. And I'm really looking forward to it because it means that I can focus on creative projects, a couple things that I have just been wanting to like refine and review and really fine tune, that I just will have a lot more space to do that. And I also in July have some VIP days with some of my amazing clients. And I guess that's another personal update. Like, my clients at the moment are just next level. Like, just absolutely next level. Because not only are we, showing up to their sessions every other week and working on their goals and they're taking action, and we're really digging into some deep work, but I'm also just like, we really get on. And again, if you work with clients, even if that's in a corporate setting or with your own work, with your own business, you'll know how good that feels and how important it is when you get on with someone, when you really appreciate who they are and you just back them like 100%. It makes the dynamic between us like even more potent, and it makes their results even more, like, it amplifies them times 10. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really grateful and proud of I'm gonna say like the caliber of women that I have had the pleasure to be working with right now. And part of my 6-month program, if you commit upfront to 6 months of one-to-one coaching, you receive a bonus VIP day, which is basically on top of our sessions. We meet for a full day and we can cover whatever you want, anything and everything, like whether that be your goals and like digging into strategy and your plan of action for the next 6 months of your life, whether it be like deep healing work, whether it be, I love with one of my clients, we do like we did one last year and we're doing another one this year, almost like a life MOT of like, right, what is not working? What is burning you out? What is draining you? What needs an overhaul? What needs this tweaking and this adding? And she walks away with like this plan of action, and she's like, oh, like, exhale, thank you so much. I have this like runway now of, back then it was like a maternity leave plan, which is so amazing now, considering that we've just started back again after she's come back from maternity leave. And with another client, we'll probably do a lot of business strategy stuff. Like, there's so many things we can cover in those days. And so whilst I'm not actively focused on any one thing in particular in July, I of course will be, delivering my ongoing client work and the sisterhood. And so I think July is going to be just a really fun, collaborative, creative month, and I am really looking forward to it. And if you're hearing about the VIP days and you're like, ooh, like, that sounds interesting, number one, I do have availability for one-to-one clients right now, and like I said, the 6-month one-to-one includes that day. at no extra cost. Obviously, if you want me to travel to you, there will be travel expenses, but if you're up for coming to Manchester for the day, I sort everything, and I take you out for lunch, and it's just a vibe. Like, it is just a vibe. So if you're interested in working together one-to-one, I'll link that in the show notes. And I am considering releasing those VIP days as their own thing if you just want to do that and you're not ready or interested in a longer term thing, but you want to spend the day together digging into your goals, mindset, healing, etc. So if you'd be interested in that, this is me like just putting out the feelers initially. Get in touch and let me know, because I know I'm not going to be promoting anything over the summer, but that was on my list of like creative projects, of like fun things that I know I want to do, but I've quite simply not had time for at the start of this year, because I've been doing client work, I've been running Next Level You, which I'll get onto in a sec. Oh my god, speaking of dream clients. And yeah, it's been something on my mind for a while. Next Level You is ending mid-July, so that kind of starts like my summer holiday after our last Next Level You call. And this round has been incredible. It's been so much fun. It's just been a fucking vibe, I'm gonna say. The women inside, like how committed they've been to themselves, to the process, to their goals, the shares in the Facebook group, the DMs I've received, the WhatsApp messages I've received from, you know, the VIP ladies, the ladies who were upgraded into the VIP tier so they have one-to-one access. This round has just been epic, I'm gonna say. And I'm so excited already to open Next Level You again, even though it won't be till November. But it's really solidified in my mind that like once again I've had the pleasure to receive and to work with just complete like soulmate clients in this round, where I'm like, where have you come from? Because you are literally the perfect person for this group and for this program, and you inspire me like with how dedicated you are to it. So I just love that. I love that, and I love that program. And one of the ladies actually posted a really beautiful message about Chloe and about my grief when I had shared that online a few weeks ago, just saying like the way Kat showed up in this group despite everything she's had going on behind the scenes, like I'm just so grateful for that. And let me tell you, I was bawling my eyes out. Like I showed Adam this message and I was like, babe, look at this, like this is so beautiful that someone's taken the time to share that and say thank you and really acknowledge like how I've shown up for them. And it was just another one of those moments where I was like, what the fuck has happened with like how amazing all these women are. So it's a very cool time, a very high vibe time to be in my world, and I'm just obsessed with my job at the moment, I've got to admit. With that said, summer holidays, we are going on some exciting trips in the next couple months. So to give you some context, because I've already had some beautiful trips. In May I went to Mallorca for a few days, which was like a well overdue visit to Amy. One of my previous coaches and friends and like a group of us went to stay with her. In June I went to Wales for the week to see my mum and dad, and me, Adam and Benji went down. It was so nice. And the weather, oh my god, the weather was so good. So good. Just really it felt like being abroad, like it was that hot, but like the perfect temperature for like sunbathing. And if you know me, you know like I can be a bit of a sun worshipper, and so that felt like cheating that we were in the UK, but it was that hot, and it was it was the week that we'd taken off work and we'd come away. We have Barcelona booked for this time next week, which again, very exciting. That was a super spontaneous trip that I booked. I had a bit of a competition with myself where I was like, if you reach this goal in your business, this is like your reward. And I really recommend doing that, by the way, with, I don't know, a promotion or like a savings goal or something that you are fucking working your ass off with to get. I really recommend having something to celebrate it at the end, because I really feel like it locks in the energy of whatever it is that you've manifested, that you created. And so as soon as I hit this milestone, I was like, right babe, we're off, like I'm booking it, it's done. And we got a really good deal, to be fair. Like it was just through EasyJet. We just went on to their like packages page, so it's great, easy, like all included, you know, everything all in one. And that's just going to be a really nice relaxing weekend, just a long weekend, Thursday to Sunday, where we're just going to be very likely just sunbathing, drinking, eating tapas and having sex and then repeating. That's my idea of a good time in Barcelona. And I deliberately booked a hotel that has a rooftop pool, because our main holiday, which I'll get onto in a second, is like not a sunbathing relaxation holiday. So we said like we've kind of had two different relaxing holidays then, if we went to Wales and then Barcelona. So that's coming up and I'm really looking forward to that. And then in August, like this is the biggie, we're going to New York. And this place has been on my vision board, on my hit list, on my goals for over a decade, like years and years and years. I remember one of the reasons I joined this particular like course at college was because one of the things that we could have ended up doing was like a school trip to New York. We didn't ever end up doing it, but like I've been obsessed with the idea of going for over a decade. And so Adam surprised me with a trip that he was booking earlier this year. He was gonna like make it a full surprise, but we weren't sure whether we were gonna get another dog or not. And so he had to have a conversation with me, because he was like, if we get a dog, like it might be afterwards. So I just wanted to check, like, if you really want one, you know, if you really want one, like we need to factor that in, because if you have dogs, like you know that you can't be getting a puppy and then giving a few weeks old puppy to someone to look after and being like, see you in a week. So he needed to tell me. So it was like a surprise in advance, if you know what I mean. It's like, surprise, this is happening in August. So that's gonna be like our main holiday, and obviously it goes without saying it's gonna be fucking bougie. And that's also the holiday where I am off. I am still going to be on Instagram, but I don't know, like I need to figure something out with like WhatsApp or something where I just need to make sure that I'm off work and I'm just having fun and I'm being in the moment, because I mean we'll for sure be going again, but this feels like one of those like once in a lifetime like bucket list places, and I just want to be so present. And for all the previous trips we've been on, I've still been working because I have commitments, like I have clients, I have one-to-one clients, and part of the deal, like part of working with me is that you could message me and I can give you support. So that's always been, I've always been committed to and delivering that even whilst being away. But I need my full on like summer holiday as well, so that's going to be a really, really good time. And I'm so excited. So it's going to be a summer of fun and really enjoying more spaciousness, more creativity, and something that I'd love you to do as well, if it tickles your fancy, is set some intentions for summer and really consciously consider how you want this summer to feel. Because you'll know that even if you work during the day, like I say, summer holiday and having more spaciousness, I will still be working like Monday to Friday most weeks, but the way I'm working is going to be different. And maybe I'll be trying to finish a little bit earlier, or making the most of evenings, or making evening plans during the week. There might just be different things that I'm going to be doing to allow myself to feel more spaciousness, more fun, more joy, more creativity. And maybe you want to do that for yourself as well. Maybe you want to start a project, or use the bright, beautiful evenings to focus on something in particular that you've wanted to do for a while. A new business idea, a new hobby, a new creative project. Even just like something as simple as going for a walk, or like when I finish work and it's sunny, I love just spending half an hour lying outside in the garden. Like that type of thing can make such a huge difference to your energy, and to finish in summer feeling like I really made the most of it and I really enjoyed it. I was present, I did what was right for me, I put myself first, I did things that lit me up. So my summer intentions are to be present, to be creative, to have adventures, and to have more spaciousness, to be a bit more spontaneous with both work and also life. And the last thing I want to update you on is our house. And this is literally just coming today, so perfect timing for this life update episode. We have wanted to move to a bigger house for quite a while now, and with everything that's been going on in the past couple of years in our lives, it's just not like lined up. But with the changes we've both made in the past 6 months, and with like how well we've been doing, how well we're doing like professionally, I was just like, you know what, let's book a call with our mortgage advisor and just see. And I think this is a good lesson for life. Like, if you want something, just see if it's possible, just reach out, just see if it's doable. The worst that's going to happen is it's not doable right now. or it's not possible. Cool, now I know. And I was so nervous before this call because I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't like say, absolutely not, you can't afford to buy something like that, you need to wait, like blah blah blah. And we both agreed, we were just like, let's catch up, let's keep them up to date, because if you work with a mortgage advisor, you know it's really helpful to just keep them in the loop with your life, like with your earnings when they increase, with your goals. Because when things are changing, for example, now we're like, right, we know we want to buy a bigger house in the next year or two. We want to share that so that we have our options and we know like what's in front of us. And we were like fully ready to just come off that call with like, here are your options, go away and think about it and come back and, you know, let me know. Not only do we have that, but he was basically like, whenever you're ready to get the ball rolling, we can do it. You know, you can do it. We went through like the affordability, we went through, which I fucking hate that term because it's so opposite to like manifesting an abundance, because anyway, you know, saying I can't afford it is like disempowering, whereas saying I'm not choosing to spend money on that right now is going to serve you so much more. But with mortgage advisors, they call it affordability because they just mean, is it doable for you to make those monthly outgoings, you know, to make that mortgage payment every month? They need to calculate that like based on your, you know, your household income. And so that was fine, like that was, you know, as expected, because I'd already done a little bit of crunching numbers with that. And not only that, but the houses that we want, like the range in which we want to buy, he was like, yeah, cool, like you can do that. So that is exciting, very, very exciting that our next home is on the horizon and is like out there. And so now we get to start the fun part, which is exploring that, manifesting that, like looking at houses. I think I've spent 2 or 3 hours today on Rightmove, just like looking through every single house that I could see in the areas that we're looking at. And just the fun bit, before the chaos, right? Before the stress, before the stress of moving, before the stress of selling. And to be honest, like, I'm not looking forward to being in a chain where obviously the person, like, you're buying a house, but you're also selling yours. That is something that a lot of people have shared is quite stressful, and it's going to be so fucking worth it. So that's probably the biggest life update that's just happened today, that our next home is like appearing on the horizon in the next, year or so. And that is probably like one of the best pieces of news I've heard in a while, because when you don't ask, you don't get, and when you don't ask, you don't know. And this is why, especially with financial stuff, like investing in something, buying something, looking at how much money you need for something, how much you want to save for something, how much is gonna, the investment of something. With these big decisions with money, so many people, and I know because I used to do this too, bury their head in the sand and avoid it and think, oh God, the market right now, or oh God, this, oh God, that. I'm just gonna leave it. But what is there to lose by just reaching out and asking and seeing? because we could have waited until like the very last minute, and then we would have been in this rush to like remortgage and blah 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 next year. But I was just like, let's just see where we're at. Let's see what our options are. And we're in a way better place than I thought we'd be in terms of like, you know, you'll know again if anyone listening is self-employed, which I know many people are, you'll know there's considerations with that, and there's like the books in terms of you could have like the most thriving business, but if you're not pulling the right amount of money out of the business, then the bank doesn't give a shit, because you could have like a 6-figure business, but if you're paying yourself like a basic salary, that's all they care about. At least in the UK, at least for some lenders. Now, he did actually say that in the future, there's a certain mortgage provider that goes off profit as well. Just FYI, if you run your own business or you're a limited company, you can go off your director's wage and like dividends and stuff, and the retained profit in your business. But we're just going to keep it simple for now and go off salary, and it's fine. Like, it's totally in line with like my expectations, and we could have just left it, and we could have just been like, oh, you know what, you know, it's going to be too expensive, or we're not going to be able to do it, so let's just leave it. And now we're literally like obsessively looking at Rightmove, wanting to go and start looking at houses this weekend. So, lesson for life: if you don't ask, you don't get, and you may as well. Like, you may as well reach out to an expert to get the advice you need. And that's the thing I feel like with everything from like a mortgage advisor to a business consultant to a life coach even. If you want to do something but you're scared and you're avoiding making that decision, you may as well reach out and have a conversation with someone who is an expert in that area, who can give you the information you need to make an informed choice. But if you just avoid it because you're scared and you are anticipating a no, then you could just be putting off your dream of having that thing, of receiving that thing, and you might not need to. Like I said, we would have waited another year, and we don't need to. Like, we just don't need to. And something that we've had a conversation about recently as well, when we were booking this call and we're like, where are we at with stuff? Like, you know, are we going to be happy if we stay here? If he turns around and says, yeah, like, you're not going to be able to get what you want at the, you know, with the market or at the rate, whatever, we were like, are we going to be happy here? Are we going to be happy to stay here for another 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever? And we both agreed that the answer is no. And I think this is the duality of manifestation, where you can be grateful for what you have and know that it's served its purpose and you now want more. And wanting more doesn't negate what you have. You are allowed to want more. You're allowed to want the next level. And I think we can get in our heads and be like, for example, oh, well, I'm just grateful to have a house anyway. I'm just grateful to have a mortgage anyway. In this day and age, in this crisis, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, really giving in to a lot of the fear. And he was actually saying, like, the way the media portray, for example, like the housing market is so extreme. And in reality, he's like, we're busier than ever. Like, if someone wants to buy a house, they're going to buy a house. If someone wants to sell the house, they're going to sell the house. If someone needs to move, they need to move. people make decisions based on what they want to do. And we can get caught up in worrying and fear and like the worst case scenario, when just reaching out and just going, you know what, I'm owning that I want this. I'm owning that I want this to be different. That puts you in such a different energy and such a different position. And so we both agreed that this beautiful, gorgeous little home we have that is our first home, and I will fully have a fucking mental breakdown when I leave this house, because not mental breakdown, emotional breakdown, because, well, I might have a fucking mental breakdown with the stress of moving based on like how it was last time. But this home has served us so well, and if we were to force ourselves to stay here, we would actually be limiting ourselves. And there comes a point where staying where you are is placing a ceiling on you, on your growth, on your life, on your experiences. And we're just like, we can't sacrifice our lifestyle and the life we want to be living for the sake of staying in our comfort zone anymore. It's time to leap. Like, it's time to stretch ourselves, you know. It's time to get out of our comfort zone and get ourselves into an environment that expands us, that inspires us to want to be bigger, to want to take up more space. Not just physically with like our lives, like we require more space, but also like mentally, physically, emotionally, you know, in our work, in my business, my creativity, like having more space, having a bigger office, or having a beautiful dining room where I can work. It just opens up a whole new avenue for everything. And I have no doubt that that shift in energy will, I will manifest more money in that environment. I will grow my business in that environment. Look at this house. Like, when we moved into this house, Adam was paying for our food shop, because after contributing what the little the little bits I was earning at the beginning of my business, I barely had anything left over. So, and look at me now, like, your environment taking a leap to something that's going to stretch you whilst being sensible and having your ducks in a row. And, you know, I'm not saying like make a stupid decision here, but sometimes you've got to get out of your comfort zone and stretch yourself. And this is one of those decisions for us, and I am so excited. And the beauty is as well, some people have done the hard work for us, because some of the houses I've seen, I'm like, oh my god, someone's paid for like a full-on extension, or like there's a gorgeous like open plan downstairs. Like, there's some amazing houses on the market in the price range that we want. The like decisions that I would have probably had to spend tens and tens of thousands of pounds to do, because they're things that are on, you know, when you visualize your dream house, like I see open plan, I see a beautiful spacious kitchen, I see like a gorgeous garden with greenery in it. These are things that cost a lot of money to put in place, and so some of the houses that we're looking at, someone else has already done it. So very, very exciting. So how long have we been going for? 50 minutes basically. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this. We jumped around to a few different things, so I hope you could keep up. I hope it was interesting, and let me know if you want more of these life update episodes. I will probably do them as like a bonus from now on. I just had a gap in my schedule for this month, so it's coming out on a Monday, but I'll probably do them as like a bonus out on a Wednesday or a Friday, so that for those of you who are like, yeah, but we also want like the mindset and manifestation vibes too, you'll still have those episodes coming out every week. So with that being said, have a beautiful rest of your day, whatever you're up to, and I will speak to you very soon.